Hey Dragboat fans, and welcome back to Dragboat 101. I'm your host Tyler Spear, and last episode we talked about the starting line and the countdown clock. And on this episode, we're going to talk about reaction times, but we're also going to talk about reaction times collectively with elapsed times, as well as bracket racing. So we're going to break down a dragboat race into two segments. We're going to break it down into reaction time and then elapsed time. It's almost like two races on our hands. So reaction time from the last episode is the driver anticipating crossing the start beam when the countdown hits 0 and the light turns green. And the elapsed time is going to be from the starting line to the finish line. Bracket races are some of the closest and most competitive racing in all of dragboat racing. As mentioned earlier, bracket racing is where the driver must run as close to a predetermined ET or index without going under. So if an index, for example, is 7 seconds, the driver wants to run as close to a 7-second ET without going any quicker. If a driver runs a 6.99 or quicker, that's considered a breakout and an automatic loss. So in this example, even though Bauer finished first, he lost due to his 6.909 elapsed time on his 7.0 index. Breakouts are the main reason why reaction time is such a crucial part in index racing. Because if the driver is late on the starting line, they can only make up so much time due to their index. And if a driver wins due to having a better reaction time while still having a slower elapsed time, it's considered a whole shot win. Reaction times are important in heads-up racing as well, but in heads-up racing, drivers don't have to worry about breaking out on the other side of the index. They only have to worry about crossing the finish line first. So like in any dragboat race, both drivers want to finish first. But what if both drivers break out, you may be wondering? If both drivers happen to run under the index, also known as a double breakout, then the driver closest to the index would win. For instance, in this example, the driver with the 6.993 elapsed time was closer to the 7-second index and picked up the win. So that concludes this episode, and I hope it brought a little bit of light and understanding on index racing and why you don't always want to be the first one to cross the finish line in an index race. You might be wondering, since we talked about a breakout, what about red lights and other infractions? Well, we're going to cover that in the next episode. So tune in for infractions, bad things you don't want to do, for the next episode of Dragboat 101.